So hello and welcome to another episode of Conversations with an Investor. We've got Thor Halt for round two. We're going to discuss his magical friend. You can maybe guess who it is. Should you slow down for 50 or should you man up? Should you be reaching for the stars or should you be slowing down? And if you were to start again from zero, would you make this choice? So without further ado, let's dive right in. So Thor, you were talking about how fucking old you are.
No, look, I think I'm rocking some COVID today, right? However,
Congratulations.
But I don't know because I have never taken a COVID test in my entire life.
So heads up to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. This is for you. Your fucking bioweapons shite. Because Thor's in here looking he's in the pink. He's dressed to kill and he's in ready to do a podcast. So I think your bioweapons been a bit of a flop.
It has been a flop. I have actually been given one COVID test. I was in a Spanish hospital and I was on, what's that super strong painkiller? It'll come back to me. Anyway, they gave me some mega painkiller that meant
morphine.
It's stronger. It'll come back to me. Anyway, the point is they forced me to get a COVID test. I was on a gurney thing and they just rammed up my nose. They never asked. And I said, C word. So that's the only COVID test I've ever taken. But last time I felt this rough, I was meant to be doing a stand-up comedy gig. I've done 3 amateur stand-up comedy gigs. Scariest shit I've ever done. That's the last time I felt this rough. And then I phoned the promoter and said, I think I've got the COVID, dude. And he said, fucking hell, bruv, you can't let me down. You've sold the fucking place out. So I went in and did it anyway.
It must have been quite good.
What must have been?
You sold the place out, or you've got good friends that bought tickets.
Yeah, it's just friends. It's just sympathy tickets.
Aye.
Obviously, I'm not funny.
You got good friends in.
Yeah, 100%. So
did you have COVID, or were you just shiting it from doing the stand-up?
Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know. No, I had some kind of flu.
Right.
I don't know. It probably was COVID because that was going around. This would have been 2021.
I'm old enough. I remember we used to call this flu.
Yeah.
I remember the flu. I remember getting flu and going, "Oh, this is rough," and then you would be like, "Oh, okay, then." I remember, maybe I'm getting old, but when I remember things the way they used to be,
yeah,
it seems a bit like that.
Aye, so I don't know if I've got the new, but I'm fine because I've taken some paracetamol shit, and you weren't going to let me get away with pussying out anyway. So here we are.
No, we're not into that.
We're not. So I've got a question for you. Conversations with an Investor, your podcast.
Yep.
Right, let's set a scenario. So the scenario is my friend is turning 50 and he's just come out of his marriage, right? And let's say that for whatever reason, he's coming out of his marriage with all the assets not being in his pocket, being in his ex's, my friend. And so he's starting pretty much at zero. And he wants to make the 50 to 60 decade the best in terms of building a legacy to leave to his kid. What would the investor advise him to do?
So I'm advising your magical friend about his hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
What does the legacy want to look like? Describe the legacy to me. What does it look like when he's 60?
The legacy would be something asset-wise that was creating significant ongoing revenue. I don't know what it is yet. In terms of, do you mean in terms of an actual number, like a yearly amount, or?
If I was to say the single biggest thing that your friend can do in a situation like this is be extremely clear about what the end looks like. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, if you're wanting to go a road trip and you vaguely say that you want to go in the car, you could just do loops around the motorway. It's not going to be a great road trip.
Yeah.
And you might just find that you end up, you're in the car and you're on a road, but you've not really got anywhere that you want to be. Where if you have a specific destination in mind, I want to be at this restaurant in Inverness and I want to go to Loch Ness and so on and so on. It needs to be extremely clear. So I think the very first thing that I would say is that you need to be extremely specific about what it is that when you say legacy, There should be a very clear picture in your mind of what that looks like.
Okay, but
a
future-proof legacy. And what I mean is, like, I've heard you talk about this, and I've been considering it. Like, you got inflation running at a fairly high rate, and you've got probable central bank digital currency coming.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of things to consider. You've got a commercial property market that seems pretty zombie to me in the UK. And so I guess I'm just looking, at this point, I'm looking for ideas. I've got loads of energy. I mean, really, I got loads of energy. So,
and is your energy going to help your friend?
My friend's got loads of energy too. He's just as energetic as me.
Good.
Imagine he was my twin. So it's looking at, I hear you. I get the point. Like, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know if you've got there? I get that. What I'm talking about is, like, where do you go? Silver, gold, Bitcoin, property. Like, there's all kinds of things you can invest in, places you can go, ways you can leverage. I guess I'm looking for ideas at this stage. I don't know what the final thing is, but I'm not trying to become, my friend is not trying to become a full-time investor because he's a coach. He happens to be a coach, same as me. So he actually wants to spend most of his time coaching because that's what he loves. Yeah.
Well, let's imagine that you were your friend.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to give the advice to you and you can pass it on to your friend.
Okay.
The main things that you want to do when you set your goal, because your goal is your North Star, it's what you aim at, just like a destination when you go into the car. And you need to have it needs to be very, very clear what that looks like. So for instance, there's lots of things that you can buy, but they have varying different time horizons. So for instance, there's things that I think that you could buy that would form a great part of that legacy, depending on what that time horizon of that legacy is. So for instance, if that's for your friend's daughter, it's not necessarily about the 50 to 60 time horizon. It's about what can I do between 50 and 60 that will extend into that period that can set up your friend's daughter. So there's ways that you can position certain things that won't be affected by things like central bank digital currencies. There'll be, are you looking to have an asset that you can sell that I paid X and it's worth Y? You know, that's a tricky one to figure out. An easier one might be, well, I'm looking to build up a certain amount of cash flow so that if I do this in this 10-year period, I can create a certain pot that generates a certain amount of money monthly that then I can pass on to my daughter, that then sets her up, gives her financial freedom, gives your friend financial freedom. So these are why you need real clarity on your goal, because there's, like, I'll speak to people and they'll say, you know, should I get into Bitcoin? I'm like, well, why do you want to get into Bitcoin? They're like, well, because it seems like a good thing. What seems like a good thing about Bitcoin? You're only really 3 questions away from them going, I don't actually know, I just think I should do something, which is good. But like, for instance, if you're like, who knows what Bitcoin will be in 20 years time, and that might be the time horizon for your friend's daughter. So that might not, that lack of being able to calculate that out might not be that might speculatively be the right play, but it's not going to give surety. So that's why you need clarity on what that legacy looks like. So for instance, if I was doing something, because let's try and give an example of what that might be. I would say, well, if it was me and my business was coaching and I was generating revenue, and that revenue I wanted to apply to something to buy certain types of assets, I would try and get a spread of assets. Now, let's just keep it in, thirds. So I would buy, a third of it would be income generating real estate. So I would buy properties that generate income on a monthly basis. So, and what I would go further than that, I would not use traditional strategies that people predominantly use today. That would mean that I would go and find things that have such a disproportionate amount of income relative to what the cost would be, because the danger is, if inflation's high and gets higher, or interest rates get high as a function of the inflation being high, then I want a significant buffer that it's not just going to wash its face. Meaning that there's people that bought a property 3 years ago that made sense then, that doesn't make sense now.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is buy a property that, if it makes sense in any markets. And these are the real niche deals where if you're very, very good, you can find out those particular types of deals that it doesn't really matter what's happening in the market, they'll work. So if I was setting up a structure that's got a long time horizon that I want to have as big a buffer as possible, that gives me an opportunity to pass this on to my daughter and say, right, here, this is the very, very best of the very best deals that are available. It's got the very, very best chance of setting you up in the very best possible way. That would be one of them. So that would be that would be where I would allocate a third of the available capital into that pot.
Okay, so question then, like, what might that be? Because I've dabbled in property. My friend has dabbled in property investing before, and it's one of those things that I think dabbling is pretty dangerous. Like, if you're not actually really focused on it, you can get burned. So my friend has got properties in a city where some of them ended up underwater because basically things can move pretty quickly, and property is obviously fairly illiquid, hard to get out of in a hurry. And so you can suddenly find yourself in a tricky situation with some of those properties. So what might this highly, I can't think of the word, lucrative, what might that strategy be? So for example, Airbnbs, is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Well, I explained this in one of my episodes, is that, is now the right time to buy a property. And what I explained is the property market, or the market as a whole, when I started investing, it was predominantly in property. And what I realised is that I thought I was buying into this sort of ecosystem, if you will, this industry that was isolated on its own. Mm-hmm. So I would go out and I would buy these properties, and I thought they were sort of insular to whatever was going on. Mm-hmm. And what I realised is that the property values and property prices were not necessarily just determined by what happened in the property industry, but they were also determined by outside factors, what happened in the stock market, central bank interest rates, what was happening with companies, if the market was expanding or contracting as a whole, talking about the entire market, mm-hmm. what was going on in the bond market, what was going on in the stock market. These things had influence, and it made me realise it's a bit like when you go to a wedding and there's a pyramid of champagne flutes. The champagne flutes represent all the different pieces of the market, and just like you pour the liquid in the champagne in the top flute, it then disperses down through the rest of the market. And halfway down on the left-hand side is the property industry, sector. Well, you find that the flow is not necessarily determined by your flutes, determined by somewhere else. Yeah. So you need to understand how that thing moves if you want to understand what's the best possible deals you can buy. The reason that your friend gets burnt in these situations is what they tend to do is they think, well, property's good, it always goes up, it's solid investments, and there's not really any risk. And that's generally what people do when they get into property. And for the most part, if you've got a long enough time horizon that you bought at the right time, that might work. But what actually happens is the market moves in cycles where it goes through. It's a good time to buy into. It's great. More people come into the market. It drives the price up. And what happens? The prices get pushed too high. So at one time it was good, and then it gets pushed up to where it's too high, and that's where we're at now. And then it rolls over and it comes down. And then people that bought at the last part of the top, they are now underwater because the prices have went down. The price they paid in the market value now, the market value is lower than the price that they paid. So they find it themselves in a situation. And what that shows is they just didn't understand the movement of the market. And that's what happens with a lot of property investors, and a lot of investors as such, as they don't understand the flow and the cycles of the market. Mm-hmm. And when you don't understand the cycle of the market, that's when you get caught out. And I think that's what's happened to your friend is that they've just, like the Bitcoin example, I want to get into property, it's a good thing to do, I'll just buy it. That's really the extent of their due diligence, knowledge, experience of the market. They just think, well, I know such and such made money in property, so I'm going to get in the same, I'll buy whatever, I like the look of, and we're good to go. And if you get in at the wrong time, or you buy the wrong type of property, you pay too much, or you don't understand that the market's about to shift, then you can find yourself in a situation where you go, oh, this isn't working. And that would, at my guess, I think that's what's happened to your friend. Am I miles off the mark?
No, I mean, I mean, some of the properties my friend were bought at pretty good prices. It's more that the market in that part of the world has really taken a downturn, like not like the rest of the country. So it has just never recovered. So although they were theoretically a good time in a market cycle, the area itself has just gone into decline property-wise, and tons of new properties have been built as well. Like, it's just way too much volume. So demand and supply says that's not a good part of the world to buy. So this
I would imagine that sounds like an external shock to something outside the property industry's affected the property
Absolutely.
industry.
Oh yeah, 100%. Big oil price crash in 2015, and prices have never recovered. And then the volume of properties have been built across the northeast of Scotland during that time. So the friend, who's obviously me, is looking for strategies to build something investment-wise. He is buying Bitcoin. He is buying whiskey. He has invested in whiskey distillery. He does invest in shares, etc. So all the kind of standard things, gold, that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking more interesting property strategies. We've got a croft up in Shetland on an island, 220 acres total. Potential for something there, like, you know, those little hobbit house things on it or whatever. Maybe Airbnb, maybe. But that's just one potential. I'm just interested in what your thoughts are on, if you're starting at zero.
Yeah, I mean, I would,
where would you go?
It's an interesting idea. If I was to start at zero, like, I can't imagine how quickly, they see these shows like, Undercover Billionaire or whatever they are. And they go from a standing start. That's the idea. The thing that you've got to your advantage here in this situation is that starting from zero when you first began is very different from starting from zero today, because what you have is, just like these shows try to illustrate, is that you have a huge amount of wealth, knowledge, wisdom, experience, and most importantly, the fuck ups under your belt, right? Because anybody can do well when the market's going great. Everybody's a hero. Everybody's brilliant. You see them, they're bullshitting down the pub, they're boring everybody to tears, they're telling it, I'd just like to announce how great I am, all that shit. And it's like, and I've seen it, I've seen it time and time again, where people come in, and they've just caught the updraft. It's not any skill. They've just caught the updraft of a lift in the market. And then but the problem is, Thor, is they extrapolate everything that's happened continually into the future, and what they don't realize is it's like this, right? And when you like this, that's what I mean, is like the classic example is, well, when I got into it was great. Well, that was because you were catching a wave of euphoria, and that's like a roller coaster. When it goes up, and just inevitably it'll turn and it'll go down. So if you look at that euphoric part of the buying, what a savvy investor would do is say, hey, look, I understand that it's going to go round and down. So see, once I get to the top, I'm going to exit out. And then I'll wait till it goes up and down, up and over, and it starts to go down, and then I'll look to enter back in. And that's the art of trading, where you're looking to find a spot where you think, hey, look, I'm going to catch the updraft, and then you'll take profits when it's a case of, hey, look, I think that it's ran its course. I'm going to take a bit of profit. I'm going to wait for it to settle down, and I'll see what it does. That's generally the principle behind it. Do you know what's difficult about that, Thor?
Yeah, judging when, because...
No,
go on then.
Human emotion.
Yeah.
It is against everything that makes you a human. Because you go, I could keep going, it's going to keep going, why stop a good thing? Look, what you do is you just, the optimism, it just keeps going. You think it's never going to stop. And that's what you need to do, exactly the opposite of what you feel. And that's what gets in people's way.
Yeah.
Like, if you buy a property for £50,000 and it's now worth £150,000, and somebody says to you, like, I come along and be like, I think you should sell this. And you go, you lost your mind. It's maybe £100,000. Well, I think you should sell it. They go, no, I caught the updraft, and they end up going, no, I'll keep it. And then what happens? It rolls over and goes back to,
now it's
like,
40 grand.
I will, and you get all the war stories. It's like, you know, I remember when it was 150 and the oil industry was booming and all that sort of stuff. It's like, well, let me ask you a question. See, when you bought your property, did you understand what drove the property market firsthand? No. Did you understand what drove the prices up to the point where you entered the market? No. Did you understand what accelerated the prices when you were watching your property prices going up when you were down the boozer, boring the shit out of everybody about how great a property guy you were? No. Right, so is any surprise you've been caught with your fucking trousers around your ankles when the thing that drove the property prices up in the first place, that then drove the prices for you to enter into the market, that then drove the prices up when you thought, hey, I'm fucking Alan Sugar, I'm ready to take over the world. And then you go, oh, I didn't see it coming. And you go, well, what does that tell you about like your thought process of getting into this game? And that's interestingly the gem in that whole story. Because here we are now, where you go, hey, look, I'm 50, and between 50 and 60, I've got a game plan. I've got a goal that I want to achieve. I'm not quite sharp on what that goal is, but I've got a rough idea of what I would like to do. And what you've got in your tool belt now is that experience where you go, I could figure, looking back now through this situation, if I do a little bit of, research, I can understand and learn better about how I got into it, what worked, what didn't work. If I had my time again, what would I do? And that,
well, yeah, it's a good point. So I would say something you said a wee bit earlier is so true. The thing that I have now is the experience of things going wrong, which means I'll never make those same mistakes again. And the example you give about with any asset, say it's a property, whatever, goes from 50 to 150, like I'd probably sell it as it went past 120 now. Like I will never miss an opportunity to take a profit on something again. And it's often about speed, isn't it? It's about speed of decision making, speed of moving money. And that is a lesson I have learned. Now, I'm not going to get into criticizing previous partners. I really am not. But when you have multiple stakeholders to make any decision, that is something, again, that I won't be falling into again. That's a lesson I've learned, is that if I'm going to be investing, I'll be doing it myself, or I'll be doing it with someone who's proven to make quick decisions, because sloth in decision making is partly why some of those mistakes happened. And I'll take responsibility for that. I'm not blaming anyone else, but it's a lesson I've learned. So there's a lot of power in what you said there, Gio, about the fact is it's not the same as starting at 0 at 20 or 30, because I have that experience and I've learned those lessons. So I know, that's a big deal. Let me
give you an example, right? I'm going to put it to you. Right, you start from 50 to...
Sorry.
Half a stone lighter now.
Yeah, right, go for it.
So here's an example. I'm going to offer you, remember the movie Men in Black? With the flashy thing?
Yeah.
And it would wipe your memory.
Yeah.
Right, so a lot of the cop-outs, let's not fuck about, let's call them what they are, cop-outs. Like, people go, but you've got money. Right, cop-out. Fucking cop-out. Let me explain why. I'm going to give you the choice. Right, you've got 30 years worth of wisdom under your belt in your adult life. I'm going to give you the choice. Tomorrow you can start with £1 million and you can build a legacy, but we're going to use the Men in Black flashy thing and wipe all your knowledge. Right? Or you can keep the knowledge, you start from 0 and you can go from 50 to 60. What one do you choose?
I know it's a trick question, but I'll actually go with the 0. I'll keep my memory and I'll go with the 0. And partly it's because it's more exciting. And life for me needs to be exciting. Like, it's a bit like when a new client comes to me in my coaching business, I'll only work with someone if our first call, we have a fucking brilliant laugh. And people would say, that's crazy. You know, you're going to turn down someone offering to pay you $6,000 to work with you for 6 months. Well, yeah, actually, I will. If it's going to be a shit vibe, yeah, I will. If we're not going to have a laugh together, I'm not in. And so I'll take your challenge there and I'll say, yeah, I'd actually go with the zero money and the 20, 30 years of experience, because it's like the equivalent of having a laugh with a client. It's way more exciting. I'm not saying it wouldn't be tempting. Of course it's tempting to say, oh yeah, give me the $1 million, I'll work it out. But would I work it out if my memory had been zeroed? Probably
make
not,
all
to
the-
be honest. I
think-
just
Think of all the mistakes you've made over the
exactly.
30
I
years.
just bust the million. It'd
Yeah.
be gone in a year.
You'd
I
be,
mean-
you'd be sitting there in like year 3 with zero and fucking no wisdom, and you'd be like, shit.
Yeah.
What
Well, I
did I
might
do?
have some wisdom, but I'd have no money.
Well,
and
you'd
I'd
have
then
3
to
years.
start
You'd have
again.
3 years of wisdom, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, what did I do? And this is the thing.
Yeah, it's a funny one because let's be honest, most people, and of course it's tempting, most people would go for the million. They'd be like, oh, I'll work it out, geese the million. But it's like the lottery. It's just like the lottery. People like, they're on their uppers, they're having a bad time financially, and they're like, oh, fuck it, I'll just play the lottery. It's like, really? You would be better off to buy a
exposes
decent book.
the excuse, because what it is like, I'll give you an example. Like, say you come to me and you're like, well, we start from zero.
Mhm.
Who are you backing? Right? You've got £1 million and you need to pick between me with zero and the guy with like the £1 million in the bank. Who's going to win? There's only going to be one winner.
It's going to be you, Jim.
Right? Hands down, there's one winner and that's it. Right? And give him 10 million. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
There's going to be one winner. And it's a case of, that's a reality TV show of disasters, and this is a warpath from here to the goal.
Mhm.
That's it. There's no in between. And you got people go, well, it was like, there's a reason why these shows exist, where you say, hey, look, it's not like, see these excuses. I've got a job, I've got a mortgage, I've got a family, I've got a house, blah 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 blah. All excuses, the whole thing, right? But here's the thing: see, if you go over the excuses and you start to look at people that have also done what you're hoping to do, and they've probably had more situations, more staff, bigger risks, had to get over bigger hurdles, and you go, well, I've not got as much to lose as them, and they seem to have done well, so I can get into this game if I can learn what they've learned. And that's where you go, look, this thing isn't about where you start from or how much money you've got. It's about what you're prepared to do to get there, right? How much work are you going to put in? How much knowledge are you going to absorb, and then go and apply it? Because the key skill, the point that we're getting at here, is experience, wisdom, and the knowledge will trump money every day, twice on Sunday.
Well, so I guess one example of I was just reflecting on the goal idea. One example of a goal that I think would be a good goal to set would be to have a target of generating 240k, 250k a year with the island, with the resource that is that 220 acres. So something that is a legacy piece for the family, not just for my daughter actually, but she loves spending time there too, and it would be great to have a horse there for her. She loves horses. And my parents are, aging, but still very active, still running the place. It's an organic croft. We get volunteers from all over the world. We used to run a drug rehab there. Like, it's a really cool place. It's just an amazing legacy Mum and Dad have built. Fair play to them. And I would like to build on that legacy, but at the same time generate a significant revenue flow. Like, I don't
How
need
long?
it. I don't need it. It's for the whole, for the family, for the enterprise. So that is a target I think I would set.
How long to do it?
I guess 3 years to have that number.
Is there water there?
A lot of water, mate. It's an island in the sea. Oh, yeah. There's plumbing now. There wasn't plumbing when I was born there 50 years ago. No, there was no plumbing.
So is there electricity up there?
Yeah, there's electricity. There's mains electricity now. We had a diesel generator once I was, 5, 6, 7. So you just run the generator in the evening, enough to keep the freezers going and things. But now they have mains electricity, yeah.
3 years for 240k.
This
is a shite goal.
I knew you were going to say that, you bandit. Aye. Go
What
on
are we doing here?
What?
We do that in 3 months.
3 months?
3 months.
How?
Fucking how?
Yeah.
Right, you've got what? You've got drainage, plumbing, electricity.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking to Mr. fucking SA, Mr. Holiday Lets.
Yeah.
I could get 240k in 3 months. 3 months to go and put the log cabins or the little sort of glamping pods, whatever would suit. We'd do a bit of research, but it would take probably 3 months to get the stuff up there and set up, and that would be making a lot of money right off the bat. Right, and you add on the retreat, right? You get soft arse Dapper up there with his cameraman rapid style, right? We show him how to harden up. He'll love it.
Yeah.
And then say, look, you could run retreats up there. 240k is weak numbers. Weak.
So
I thought we were talking about goals. This is this is like stuff you could do in your lunch.
Hold on. Okay, well, that's fine. I like that you're pushing me on the numbers. I mean, for me, the mission behind it's important. And I said I want to build on Mum and Dad's legacy. And Mum was quoted in 1974 saying, where things grow, there is hope, right? That was in like Woman's Own or something. She got interviewed.
Does that count for cash flow?
Yeah.
If you grow cash flow?
Where things grow, there is hope. And I just love that quote, though. For me, I think that the island could be a place, will be a place where we grow people, though. It's like, that would be the idea. So you grow people and you grow cash as well. Well, why? So you think that's a weak ass goal, right?
Weak.
Okay. So what would be the
Fucking
geo goal?
weak.
Come on, give me what would be a
How
decent goal?
many acres is there?
Well, of usable, arable kind of acres where you could put glamping pods. I don't know, 70.
If I couldn't make $1 million out of that a year, I would go and hang my head in shame. Right? I'd hang my tools up.
You've got some logistical challenges because
Pish.
Well, you've got
You've got fucking bases in Antarctica, right? It's Shetland.
Yeah, but you've got a ferry that'll take, I don't know, 12 people or 24 people or whatever.
We'll get a fucking boat. We'll hire a boat. We'll say, look, go and get a big boat.
Yeah.
We say, look, we need this stuff up here. Get it up there. Right, you start with the numbers. What do you want? What, £1 million a year? Right, let's back engineer how many pods we need to put up there to get £1 million. Let's work out the expenses. Let's work out the cost. Then
planning permission? Do you need planning
number.
permission? Like there'll be some things that might need to be checked out first. I don't know.
I am not interested in your fucking excuses.
I'm not making an excuse.
These obstacles will be getting pumped.
Yeah, but you talked about research. I'm just saying that there's some research needs to happen here. You could set a number goal.
Well, for instance, like
unless you know you can actually put stuff in.
Scotland's government drives tourism. Right, to give you some numbers, Scottish tourism accounts for £11.6 billion annually. Mm-hmm. Right, 43% of that 11.6 billion goes to the accommodation sector. Mm-hmm. Put another way, the people that come and spend over 11 billion quid a year, just less than half of that is spent on where they stay. Mm-hmm. Right,
11 billion.
11 billion. Yeah. Right, so call it around 5 billion. Right, just keeping numbers easy. £5 billion is spent on the accommodation sector. You telling me on 200 acres on a beautiful island in Scotland that people dream and fantasize over that touch of history, the archaeological digs, Norse mythology. I can't get £1 million out of that annually. And you're talking 240k in 3 years. Weak goals.
240k per year I'm talking about.
That's mince. That's...
Okay, well, what would be my first step then? Mate, let's take it down to practicalities. Right. Let's say we're going with your number, $1 million per year. What's the first step?
The first step is that you work out what your goal wants to be, right? Because that determines if you want 240k.
No, we'll go with your number. So let's go with your $1 million a year. What's the first step? If you take
£1 million a year, you then back engineer what you need to put there to get £1 million, right? And you're going to get some alternatives. You'll get like... for instance, the glamping pods are slightly glamping pods and timber built buildings are different in terms of their planning requirements to permanent buildings that are built, using traditional methods. So these are the things. These are like the nuances that I'll be inaccurate for the sake of being brief and simplistic. There's easier things to put on there that you can put on there much more quickly. To navigate the planning and time spent doing it. But they would be just as appealing as, a traditional style building. In fact, more appealing in some of these cases because, say, for instance, what I would do there, and I've not seen the area, but my initial thoughts would be, people are going to come here to be closer to nature. Mm-hmm. They want to be around nature. So they're traditionally not wanting a modern building. Like a timber cabin or a log cabin or a glamping pod with the view that it's in a very sort of, there's going to be lots of salt in the air. That we need to be aware that it's got strong winds, sea air. We need to make sure that the materials that are used are going to be robust enough, secure enough, sealed enough and durable enough that they can stand the weather up there. And then you now have a target and have the amount of units that we need to put there. And then what you do is it's more the Scottish Government are trying to drive tourism, okay? So you present this idea. You're not Davy that's wanting to build like a 5-bedroom house, that doesn't fit into the area, versus Thor, who's like, look, I want to drive tourism to the area, which is thumbs up. I'm going to bring jobs onto the island, thumbs up. And they're not permanent buildings, thumbs up.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a much easier path to do it. And then it's a case of getting into the numbers. What's your target? How many units do you need for that target? What's the cost of getting those units? Package it together, boom, roll it out. Then you start cash flowing.
So, might be a stupid question, but where do you get the money to front end to buy all the whatever they're going to be, glamping pods, upside down boats, whatever they might end up being?
The world's your oyster in terms of how you want to fund it. You could go to, there's lots and lots of demand for, that type of wellness project. So you could get funding from a variety of different sources. You probably find that there'll be institutions out there that'll have a mandate for this type of sector. You'll have traditional banks. You've got investors that like this idea. There's a suite that funding's probably not going to be the issue as long as your numbers are good.
Yeah.
You'll have the government will be for it in terms of the regulatory part. The planning department will be keen for it because it's it's not permanent as such. It drives tourism in the area. It'll provide jobs in the area. You'll find that it'll help the local community because it's driving, it's generating some income into the area. You've got people that, the whole sort of idea of that industry is quite appealing at the minute, where there's a huge demand and a lack of the infrastructure there to support that demand. So if you're adding to the infrastructure, that's going hand in hand with what the demand is at the minute.
So the other thing I thought of was monetizing the Hippie Hut podcast, but obviously that depends on numbers. I need to grow the podcast to a decent level. The previous podcast I had back in 2015 was a writing podcast, and I interviewed a whole load of interesting writers across the political spectrum. I used to get about 10, 11,000 downloads a week. But I stopped that podcast a few years ago now. Thoughts from you? I know you're building this podcast pretty quickly. So what are your thoughts on the best way to grow a podcast fast? Because I sponsor some podcasts. I know how lucrative it can be from the other direction. Like if you've got decent numbers, people will sponsor, for example. So there is a revenue flow there too. What are your thoughts on growing a podcast fast?
What's specific to generally with podcasts? So you mean
generally,
your piece on the Hippie Hut?
Maybe the Hippie Hut, but
generally
the
Hippie Hut piece goes hand in hand with what you're to me, it's really straightforward. You've got a place where there's a service that people are screaming for that you could put ready made in there in the North House Croft, and you've got the Hippie Hut, which could promote and tell the story and do the branding for what you're doing up there.
Yeah.
And in terms of the piece, say for instance, I'm interested in investing in Scotland, Scottish investors, Scottish property, developing Scotland as a country, helping people that, not necessarily just with money, but with the sake of knowledge and skill and wisdom and time. And you say to me, Gio, look, I'm interested in doing this. The first thing I would do would be like, let's build a plan of what you can do there. Let's get some rough numbers, like back of the envelope stuff. Let's sort of get them a bit more refined, and let's start talking about them on the podcast. And then what you do is you could do, even initially, you could do some depending on what's at the Hippie Hut at the minute, you could then go and do a test sample of, let's take people here and run what this would be on a really small basis, and then tell the story on the podcast. And then that would then expand the viewership, because you would have this ability to then go and say, here's the story, here's what we're doing, here's a guest that's came on. And then what you would then do is you would attract, from the generating revenue from the sponsors, the podcast point, you would have people that like the idea. So you might have a client that goes, look, we want to send our guys up there, we want to sponsor the podcast. You might have someone that's in the wellness industry that goes, look, we want to put a few quid to this because we're in alignment with what you're doing. I love it and I'm backing it.
Yeah.
And I want you to keep telling that story. I want to send more guys up. It's hand in hand. And you've had that conversation with Dapper Laughs.
Mm-hmm.
He's ripe for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's he's not in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just an example of what the market's telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And
there'll be lots of other dappers, basically, lots of other people that have got a following that might like to come and do their own retreat on the island, and they're going to market it then. So they come on the podcast. I'm thinking out loud from what you're saying.
Well,
they're going to come on the podcast. They're going to then promote it to their people.
Well, and it goes the other way. So like Dapper's thing is that Dapper's probably not going to be bringing shed loads of cash.
Mm-hmm.
What he's giving you is massive exposure, big following, a big audience, right? And he's going to come up and give you his time and his experience, which is powerful in itself. So what's the other side of that? The other side of that is you probably got somebody privately who is screaming out for it, that this could be a reset in their life that they need. They're stuck in the corporate world, they're in the grinder, they're feeling a wee bit lost, they're feeling a bit disconnected. Mm-hmm. You bring them up there and they spend, a weekend or a long weekend or even a week, and they've just been reset and they feel great. Yeah. And now they're like, I want to bring my top guys up here, and we want to do a rotation. They might not have the exposure to the audience, but they might have, a decent amount of capital that they want to say, look, Thor, I like your setup, but could you support doing this with 10 guys or 10 gals or, whatever the number may be. He said, well, to do that, we need to get, we need to do a bit of expansion. So it's a bit capital intensive. And he's like, I've got some people that'd be interested in putting some money towards this. Yeah. Or can we block book it? I'll give you, a year's worth. If I give you a year's worth of bookings now and pay for it, will that get you to expand it? Yeah, I can work with that. Or even if it's a portion of that. Like say, for instance, you says, look, I've got a year's worth of bookings. That equates to 50% of the capital outlay that we need. Are you interested in chipping in the rest? You're going to get an investor that's going to go, talk to me. Because what they're doing is they're going, you've got somebody to agree to pay these in advance without it being there. Yep. And you've got the money in the bank. Yep. What do you need? I need another 50%. And then what could you do if you extrapolated that out? So if I gave you twice the amount you need, could we expand? Yeah. What would that turn into bookings? You start looking at it, you go, what if I give you 3 times what you need? And now you see the picture. Yeah. Because what you're seeing is someone that's been prohibited by lack of capital that they have initially, but they have a huge opportunity to expand. And then you've got the hunger side in terms of the demand, clients and people that have visited, and they go, we really need this. And what you're doing is you're trying to find equilibrium between how do we keep the essence of the place without making it too commercial, but how do we make it commercial enough that it makes sense financially that we can keep the essence of the place and give it to out as many people as we can. And that's where you want an investor's eyes, where they are looking at the flow and going, I know where that is.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you raised, Joe, about how do you keep the essence of the place, but at the same time maximize the commercial return? Because you could say that about any place that has natural beauty. So whatever the planning constraints, let's say you had no planning constraints, you could build whatever you wanted. Like, how do you hit that balance point? Like, how do you get, hard to know, I guess, without actually, working some things up. But because you wouldn't want to carpet the place with hobbit houses, because then you just end up with, just, it's going to look like a wee town, and people don't want to go somewhere that's a wee town. Well, they might, but they'll go to a town. So yeah, that's a good point.
That's why this is where spreadsheets and numbers can only tell you so much. That's when you need to go and get boots on the ground. Yeah. And when you get boots on the ground, what happens is you get a feel for a place. You get a feel for what you're looking to do. It's a bit like, you ever been into like a new build housing estate and the houses are 1 metre apart and you're going, it's too close. Yeah. But you go into somewhere else that maybe was built, 60, 70 years ago, and they go, they've got it right. Now, the houses are built close to each other, but the proximity is very different. Yeah. The feel of the place is very different. Yeah. Size of the garden, the size of the space, the size of the way that it's positioned, aesthetically, how it looks, how it makes you feel. These are the things where that energy, that ability to tune into the energy of something's position means that you can't work that out in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And that's when you need to get there and feel what it would look like. That's why it's not got, like, what's the maximum amount of pods that we could put on 220 acres? That number would be whatever it would be. Let's call it 1,000 units.
Yeah.
But you might find that when you get there, you're like, 150 is the maximum. 150 sounds a lot, but say you go 80's the ceiling. In theory, you could put 1,000, but the number's actually 80.
Yeah, because you could end up just taking what is a beautiful wilderness and turning it into, assuming all planning constraints were gone, you could just end up turning it into, literally a town, which wouldn't be what people want to go there for. I can already imagine in my mind which fields on the actual croft would suit having pods or whatever in them. I can imagine, because they're kind of lower down, you still get a view, but they're sheltered. And you'd still have an element of working croft. And we've got already started, Dad's begun like a woodland burial. So there are a couple of people buried there already. It's legal to bury people as long as you've got permission. And it's woodland, even though trees don't grow that well on Shetland, but he started growing trees. So I can imagine like trees between the pods to kind of keep the kind of natural vibe. And I can imagine some of the fields with pods, and then other fields that remain a working croft to kind of keep that energy. And then you'd have the actual house. It may in the end need to be knocked down, but at the moment, that would be the retreat center, like where people would come to do the stuff we're talking about, like the corporate.
I would take a woman up there.
You take a what?
A woman.
You surprised me there. Go on.
I'd take a woman up there. They just intuitively know. Like a lot of people have been like, you're quite sexist. Just nonsense. I'd take a woman. Women would know. She would know straight away.
Yeah.
She'd be like, this is where you need to put it.
Yeah.
And this is the way it needs to be. Just so much more in tune. That's what we do. You ever go and you say, look, what do we need to put in this room?
Yeah.
And we say, you need to do this, this, and that. You go, right, okay. And they go, you've got a fucking vase with sticks in it.
Yeah.
And like it's totally changed the room. You'd have never thought of it.
No, well,
and
I definitely
you're
wouldn't have
dismissive. And you come and you go, you know what, it's actually quite good.
No, I just paint the room white and then that'll be it. Leave it. That's it. It's fixed.
Yeah. Like that's the sort of thing where you're like, I would take a woman, like my missus would figure that out really, really quickly. She'd be like, this is the way. She would be able to say, hey, look, this is the way it needs to be. Because they're just much more in tune with that sort of essence of where something needs to be.
Well, I've got a boots on the ground trip with a woman coming up early October. And then after that, I'll maybe communicate with you in terms of the numbers side of it. If that's
you're going to come
right.
up with some better numbers than you've been throwing around this morning.
Yeah, I know you've.
I know you've got the man flu, but that's no excuse.
Yeah, man. I'll take that on the chin.
But like, for instance, back to your legacy situation, because we went on a tangent. The first thing I would do would be goals. The real estate piece is easy. I mean, I've bought properties where like thoroughbred investors have bought. So look, I'm going to go and do what you're doing, and they've missed the gains or potential by up to 50%. Like, it's just not working. And I'm like, well, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. You're not understanding how this thing flows. And even now, I've had thoroughbred investors who came to me and paid me to lay eyes on their analysis. They say, can you just double check this? Because it's fine margins. It's that ability to, it's like finding the water. You see them going, well, I've dug a 50-foot hole there and a 50-foot hole there. And, well, there's where the vein of gold is, or that's where you can dig right next to it, but you need to be able to identify where the spot is. And when you've done as much analysis and enough interpretation of data as I have done over the years, it's extremely difficult to miss the water now. But I remember how difficult it was when starting out. You'd be like, I'm absolutely sure it's there. And just like we spoke about earlier, I've done my time digging the holes and not getting the result. I've done my time making the mistakes. And it's like, how did I miss that? and you would go back through and you would figure it out and be like, right, okay. And like I've spoke to investors that they've literally sent me something through, you know, like sent me a link or sent me some data. They thought I've went, you need to check this, you need to check that. I've given them a list. I'm like, how do you know all this from just looking at that information? How are you able to tell that it needs this work? How are you able to spot that it needs that expense on it? How did you know all this? And I'm like, well, it's just getting the reps in, it's getting them out. Like, this is what happens when you do it so often, and you're prepared. You've got the humility to know that you're not perfect, and that when you do get it wrong, you go back through the bomb site and you find where you messed up, and then you say, hey, look, I now know that. Because a lot of the time people just bury that, well, I didn't get it right, I'll just...
bury the mistakes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If you have the humility to go through it and say, hey, look, I didn't get that right. So I have made an untold amount of errors and mistakes, but been fortunate enough to have the wherewithal to go, right, what can I pick up from that? And that's the piece.
That's maybe a first step for me is I'll journal on it or something, but like to journal on what I have learned, because there is value there. Like we talked about with your example of, would you rather have £1 million or would you rather have your experience? Maybe I'll go away and journal on that in terms of what my experience with property, for example, has taught me, actually, because there'll be quite a lot in that.
Well, I mean, I know from just like the 2 bits of information you've given me, I can already piece together what's happened, you know, and that's that I'm a mystic meg or I've got a crystal ball. It's that I can overlay all the years of seeing the situations happen so many times, understanding the flow of the market, understanding how the cycle moves, understanding how things drive it, understanding the flow is a champagne flute, and that something's changed the flow, and that flute has been disproportionately affected. It used to fill all the way up to the top, now it's got a third in the glass, and it was changed because of the flow. I can spot how it's moved, and that's only because I've had my eyes on the market for as many years as I have, where if I, for instance, done that at the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to understand all of that. So it would have been an easy mistake to make, or a common mistake. And a mistake's not a bad thing as long as you learn from it.
Well, here's a mistake I made. I had a winning strategy. I applied it. I got a property for no money, and I had $8,000 in my bank account on top. I did the refurb, ended up with $8,000 in my hand and a cash flowing property. It was such a good deal that my lawyer literally wouldn't do the paperwork for the deal. He said, this deal's too favorable to you, it'll fall over. You can't buy this property for this price because the deal will fall over. Anyway, fired that lawyer, obviously got another lawyer, did the deal. The guy I bought the place of was delighted because he got what he wanted. I got what I wanted. So delighted, he would send me Happy Christmas texts for years afterwards. Like he wasn't sore about the low price that I'd got this property for. But I never did it again. Now, why? I can make excuses up, and there is an excuse, but the excuse was, well, the finance model...
It's a fucking theme with you.
You haven't let me heard it, though. You haven't heard it yet. I mean, to be fair, the mortgage industry did change, and you couldn't get a place and buy... You couldn't remortgage against the new valuation. You had to go with what you'd actually bought it for, and so that caused that strategy not to work. But the point is, I didn't try and find another strategy. I just went, oh, well, that's that, and just got on with other stuff. So I'm not making an excuse, actually. I'm admitting to the mistake. And the mistake was not to find another way to finance and keep doing roughly the same thing. Because the actual method, which was to leaflet a street where I wanted to buy, to get some guys from the gym running up and down these streets, sticking the leaflets in, and then to take calls, and then to visit people, and then to sit with them and basically listen to them, to their situation, work out what a good solution might be for them, whether it was through me and my investors or something else. Like that all worked. I just should have found another way to finance it. So there's one example of something I've learned. And I like what you said about humility. It's true. And I do have humility, I would say. And that is, that's a really important point. So yeah.
I'll give an example. To see the amount of mistakes that I've made over the years, and I'll be able to recount the people will say, I'll give the examples of what's happened. and I'll say, look, that's okay. These sorts of things happened. I'll explain a situation where I've made a similar mistake, and they'll be like, I don't expect, somebody like you to make a mistake. And I'm like, well, how do you think we learn? I says, what happens over the years is that most people aren't prepared to go and face the fact that they've made the mistake. So, and that stops them from getting the wisdom that's there. So they never fix it.
So for one of your sound bites for the video thing, what's the line? It is facing the mistake, having the humility to face up to your mistakes and genuinely accept that mistake without making excuses. That is the key to a future win with property investing, for example.
Well, I mean, even if you take like
that better get clipped, by the way.
Yeah,
the
we'll
AI
clip
thing
it.
Better clip that.
I mean, you've done an amazing job there. What's the definition of insanity? You do the same thing over and over again, expect a different result. Well, if you don't learn from the mistake, you're going to make the same mistake over and over again and expect a different result. So the thing is like, well, if that was my son, what would I tell him? Say, well, what did you learn from that? Good on you having a go. Okay, it's not worked. Okay, fine. Right. So if you were doing it again, would you do it exactly the same way? I'm like, no. What would you do? What would you do differently? They'd be like, well, I wouldn't have done that. It's a good start then. Okay, right. Let's try it. And brush yourself down and go again. But brush yourself down when you figured out what you should have done or shouldn't have done. Have another go. And see that process. Repeat it over and over again. And don't. It's not binary where you go, I'm going to make no mistakes. It's, I'm going to make a little less mistakes and a little less mistakes and a little less. Somewhere along the lines, you just become such a finely tuned sort of machine at spotting, understanding intuitively. It's like intuition. It's like that. And when someone's just got a really, really good intuition, it's generally that they've collected enough experience. They faced that experience over and over again, and they've refined how they interact with that experience. But it's just like doing a, analysis or a deal or a trade or whatever it is being able to do it. And I remember, probably the place I made my most mistake. I think I made every mistake in the book when I was learning how to trade. Everything that they said that I would do, as a mistake, I did. I don't think I missed a mistake that they said that I would make. And
what were you talking about? What are you trading when you talk about trading? What's that? You
can trade anything. I mean, I was trading foreign exchange, commodities, equities. So essentially the best data sets in the United States. So the best available information comes from the US, and that's where the big game in town is. So you can trade other parts of the world. If you see an opportunity, then go for it. But you're going to be hard pressed. Like the money's flowing in one part of the world, then you're probably better placing your your bets there. And the thing that was the mistakes that I learned from trading made me an infinitely better investor. I mean,
a better investor or
infinitely,
because those are two separate things, aren't they? What do you mean? An infinitely better investor?
Yeah.
How come?
Because you understood how the flow worked. So remember the champagne flute.
Yeah.
To be able to be a good investor, you need to understand that flow from the top down and from the bottom up. So the guys that mentored me were ex Goldman Sachs. So I mean, they were the cream of the crop, and they were not just good; they were exceptional at what they did. Like the process that they had to go through, they were the cream of the cream of the cream of the crop. So you weren't and when you are trying to learn from their wisdom and their experience, what you understood was how big the gap between what you thought you knew and how much you actually knew. And you were forged in fire, and that represented itself in a lot of mistakes. So when you made those mistakes, it meant that you were essentially paying tuition to the market every day. Not every day, but every time.
Real money. You weren't.
Yeah, I mean, you were paying. Like the good thing about when you're an investor is that if you blow it out the water in terms of success, you get the credit. If you blow yourself to smithereens, you get the credit.
Yeah.
Like there's none of this excuse. Like this is why I'm probably as blunt force trauma when it comes to excuses, because I've been in the environment where it doesn't, regardless of what happens, regardless of the outcome, you are like, it stops with you. And that's what I mean, is that's where you see these guys and their the energy they've got, they're highly tuned. There's no margin for error. There's margin for error, but there's no margin for leeway in their decision-making principles. They don't make excuses. They don't blame anything else. They take things on the chin. They let things go really, really quickly. They don't harbour on about things. It's like methodical, just like this. And that ability to essentially cut out your own bullshit makes you infinitely better at making decisions, having the humility to learn from your mistakes, to spot an opportunity and measure the risk, be comfortable with risk.
Well, so I'm glad you brought up risk. This is segueing back to Airbnbs in Scotland. What's the risk factor for getting into Airbnb, for example? And the reason I want to ask you that is I've got one particular property I think I might like to Airbnb. Not too much competition in the area, but there's something weird happening in Edinburgh, isn't there, where Airbnb is getting stomped on by the government for some reason. What's your thoughts on the future of Airbnb in Scotland? So
to clear that up, Airbnb is a host, so it's branded Airbnb, and it's really a really good job on Airbnb's part in terms of branding and marketing. But the concept is that you have a short-term let where you agree to rent out your property for a short period of time, and it became popular when Airbnb started to sort of global reach. So you don't need Airbnb to do it. The methodology is that you can do it without Airbnb. That's what people know, and the Scottish government have decided that they want to interlope into affairs that they don't really belong. Speaking plainly, what they've decided is that they think that they should be the arbiters of who should and shouldn't do it, and what areas you can and can't do it in. And that flies in the face of, when you purchase a property, you have property rights, and that you should for the most part be allowed to do what you please with that property. If you decide to let that property out to someone on a short-term basis, there shouldn't be anybody that has any influence of that. The government have decided that they want to put that influence in there, and there's been a lot of resistance, so it's not working in their favour. It's not working in their favour Scotland-wide. It's not working in their favour in Edinburgh, to the extent that they've been challenged in the High Court and lost. So if you're like, a good thing to do as an investor is you argue both sides. So what's the for the government? What they're saying is, that housing stock's being destroyed because people are renting out the properties in Airbnb. It's stopping people getting into the market. It's stopping people, being able to be a first-time buyer, and so on and so on and so on. And on the face of that, you go like, oh, the government are so good. They're looking after our interests, and aren't they amazing? And the people that are sort of, leaning to that type of appeal, they're just like, yeah. And then you've got the other side of it where you've got someone like me that will do the numbers. You say, okay, so the same people that are the arbiter of, they essentially want to dig their claws in and decide what they're wanting to do. Let's have a look at them. So on one side, what they're saying is, we don't think that people are getting allowed to be on the property market. That's the same people, the government, that control planning. It's the same government that have blanket spread a contract to house immigration. So they're taking social housing stock that should be for the current population, and they're giving that away to someone that's coming in. It's the same government that's also driving tourism into the industry. And remember, we discussed the numbers. It's the same government that's driving tourism and then want to stranglehold the supply of the accommodation, that also supply the stranglehold via the planning. They also stranglehold the stock by directing who they place into that social housing stock.
Hold on, I'm going to have to stop you, because what you're talking about is logic. logic is not necessarily how governments operate. Government's going to government. They like to tax, they like to spend, they like to tax, they like to spend. That's how they get voted in. So everything you said makes sense, but it's logic, and that's not how they operate. So what I'm asking is, what's the future of Airbnb? You're arguing, you can argue both sides, but I want to know.
So the argument is that,
do.
to your point, they're not being logical, and that even people that might buy into their concept are even getting to the point where the response that they've had is so against what they're trying to do that it's almost impossible that the government are going to be able to do what they plan to do.
What do they plan to do?
What they plan to do is introduce, essentially, it's under the guise of licensing that they want to. If you look up the definition in a law dictionary of license, it means to ask permission.
Yeah.
So what the government are essentially doing, because people go licensing, yeah, it's okay. But what is a license? A license is for you to ask permission. So let me ask you this, Thor. You've purchased a property with your money. Do you want to go and then ask another party to ask permission for you to do something with the thing that you've bought?
Well, of course I don't, but I'm a hippie rebel. I'm not your average punter. So no, obviously I don't. I think I should be able to do what I like.
Well, it might come as a surprise to you. Even people that aren't hippie rebels have also decided with the same idea as you, where they go, for lack of a better word, why don't you take a fuck to yourself?
Yeah.
Because we bought this, we took the risk, we took the gamble, we spotted the opportunity, we're quite happy with it, this is our property, and you've decided upon yourself with you don't have any experience in the property industry, you don't have any experience in terms of economics, you don't have any background in this, we've back tested your numbers, we've had a look at what you control, planning, tourism, we've looked at your numbers, we looked at the licensing, we looked at what you do. It's clear as day to any of us that you've not got a Scooby of what you're doing, and you want us to ask you for permission to do something. Well, I'm afraid that's not going to work, because there comes a point, there's a line where you cross where you go, right, this is stupidity. It's the old, if I told you to jump, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do the same? Or if somebody asked you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? That's the point that we're getting to with the government.
But they're the government, so they can still, in the end, they've got the men with the guns. In the end, you have to do what they say. So what are they saying? They're going to license all these Airbnbs in Scotland. So what? Does that mean there'll be a limit on the number of them? Or is it just going to be, here's another couple of grand you have to pay before you can run this business?
No, I mean, that's the thing is that when it comes to the point, look at what happened with poll tax. Poll tax was the same thing, where it's like you might have the men with the guns, but see when you're starting to affect the men with the guns family, and the men with the guns say, hey, look, we're not siding with you. Yeah. And even when you get to magistrate courts, you go, look, the thing with the government is that if people realise that they have the power to say, hey, look, you've decided that you want to institute this rule, we don't like the rule, and we the people, if we're going to play this game where we the people give you the authority to act on our behalf, if enough of us say, hey, look, we don't like what you're doing, you need to listen to us. And that's a sort of uneasy relationship that the government sometimes stubbornly doesn't like to admit. And what we're experiencing now with the Airbnb situation is that they now are coming to terms with the fact that they are not getting their way. Because
really?
Yeah.
So that's good to hear. But
to give you an idea of numbers, there was 15,000 applications that were expected. Do you know how many went in?
No, how many?
90.
Right.
Airbnb have 38,000 properties that are available on their site in Scotland. 38,000 properties that should be licensed. Do you know how many people indicated that would apply for the license?
How many?
5,000.
Right.
To say that it's a flop would be an understatement.
So what's going to happen there? The government are going to say those 33,000 or whatever it is are unlicensed?
Well, they've called the bluff because they've did the set back the date twice. So what's happened is they've said, well, what they've essentially said to people is, if you don't get licensed, if you don't let us decide if you can do it,
yeah.
Right, let's not pull any punches. If you don't ask our permission to do what you've been doing with your property, we're going to go to Airbnb and say you can't advertise it. And Airbnb says, if you don't get the license, you can't advertise. Right. And people have went, okay then.
Yeah.
And now Airbnb have went to the Scottish government. They aren't applying for the licenses. So the Scottish government says, we'll give them a bit more time.
Yeah.
And then people have went, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And then Airbnb says, listen, you've called their bluff and they've called you out on it.
Yeah.
And we're not prepared to give up our market share.
Yeah.
And now the government are going, what do we do now? It's like poll tax.
Well, that's great to hear. But the difference with poll tax is it was affecting pretty much everyone, whereas this is still a niche, of the population that have an Airbnb. So,
well, I mean, it's not that niche, because if you look at this, this is what I mean. I've written to the ministers in Scotland and I've says, look, if you, I understand enough about economics and the flow and how this thing goes together and what you're trying to do, right? And if you think that, can you explain to me that you want to, on one hand, want to drive an £11.5 billion industry or part of your gross domestic product, and 43% of that's driven towards the accommodation sector? Why are you strangleholding it?
Well, because that's what governments do. I mean, that's how they operate. Western governments, that's how they
Well,
operate.
they don't.
They tax everything. That's what they do, man.
Well, they just run around going, well, it's not our department, we don't know what we're doing. So the left hand doesn't really know what the right hand's doing. But now the left hand and the right hand are getting the answer. We don't think you know what you're doing.
So is the message I should take away from this, the Airbnb? So, for example, this flat I'm thinking about Airbnb-ing, I should just go for it and ignore the licensing and just apply for it through Airbnb and just get it set up and see what happens?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing being is that's what you would have done before they introduced the license. And there's nothing materially going to change with the licensing. So the licensing was introduced to stop, the licensing was introduced to stop like stag do's and hen parties and antisocial behaviour. But that's, like, people think that that's an Airbnb thing. That's a people thing. That's happened in traditional social housing. That's just people.
Yeah.
Sticking a label that it's an Airbnb problem is just not the case. Yeah. And when you have an Airbnb or a short-term let, you set the rules. No hen parties, no music after a certain time. Just be a decent, guest. So, and you're going to get a few bad apples, but you would get that if you rented out a property or someone. But how many people got a dodgy neighbour?
Yeah.
Or had someone that moved in and they're a hassle.
Yeah.
So
So will Airbnb let you? So in this example with the property, I'm thinking of Airbnb-ing. Will Airbnb let me apply for it? Let me advertise it on Airbnb, even though I don't have that license?
But to give you the timeline, Airbnb have said that they won't, and they've reneged on that twice, as has the Scottish government. So it's giving you an indication, like, we're understanding the trend. The trend is that there's a lot of pushback to the extent that, what's the pushback been? The pushback's been that Airbnb have had to go back on what they've said.
Yeah.
The Scottish government have had to go back on what they've said, and they've also been defeated in High Court. What do you think that tells you?
Well, hopefully it tells you that the licensing will go out the window. What is the cost of the licensing if it did come in? What is it? A couple of grand?
Well, it's not so much the cost. The cost isn't really the issue. The issue is you're having to ask the council if you permission to do what you're doing. And
they might just say no because what? Any old reason?
Because they didn't like what happened to them in third year at high school, and they fucking took they wanted to get into the planning department because they couldn't get in the police force.
Yeah.
And wanted to pick on someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, well. Good. I think I feel investor wise.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like, say for like, if it, like, I'm
basically what you tell me is just fucking do it.
Yeah, get a pair.
Yeah,
get a pair and go for it.
Gio's usual advice: for fuck's sake, Thor, just fucking do it. And here I am, 9 a.m. on a Saturday with a bit of man flu. Just do it. No, it's a good point. Okay, so with the Airbnb then, just crack on and do it. I think I will then. It's a hippie hut. I'm gonna have hippie huts everywhere, man. Hippie huts. That's what they are. The hippie hut.
This is what
Airbnbs.
I mean. Like, this is what I mean. It's like, see what's happened over the last 3 years. What's happened over the last 3 years is people have been pushed beyond the limit where they were comfortable with, and they've went, you know what? I would have listened to what you've said beforehand. And what you've got is you've got 33,000 people in Scotland. And see if you're one of them. I want you to reach out to me. You visit my website, get in touch with me on socials. I'd like to speak to you. I'd like to arrange a call. I'd like to arrange a call with people. Say, look, we'll have a group call and we'll have a deeper dive into this. There's 33,000 people out there that went, I've had enough of you.
Yeah.
Do you know, like somebody that's a bully at school?
Yeah.
They say, hey, look, they stand up and go, enough's enough.
Is there a lobbying organisation? Like, has someone put together a lobby group with that 33,000?
I think they've indirectly done it where they've said, take a fuck to yourself. I don't think they've organised it and formed it in such a way. Yeah. They've just sort of inwardly went, nah, I'm not playing your game.
Yeah.
And that's not a rebellious thing, because see, if they came to and we formed a group, I could go to the head of tourism in Scotland. I could write to the First Minister, and I could say, listen, explain yourself. And you can spin this to the fucking cows come home, right? But here's facts and here's numbers, because that spin might work in the media and that might work in the people that you're spinning this magic to. But you've not answered the questions in terms of numbers and reality and what you're doing. And if you come up with, against someone who has these numbers and this experience, you're going to look really, really silly. And I think that that's dangerous for you, because your perception of what you want to give off is that you have an air of authority and that you have wisdom beyond everyone else, and that you have this knowledge and experience that shows that you should be in charge of this. But if you come up against someone who is going to school you in that department, that's probably a fight that you don't want to pick.
That's assuming that politicians, GAF, man, do they care? I like your optimism. I just think they'll plug on doing their politician thing.
They can plug on doing it, but I mean, this is the thing is that maybe that worked. I think pre-2020 that worked, and I think now it's never been more obvious to more people. There's never been a point in time where their magic spell has failed on as many people as it does now. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not to say it doesn't work. Yeah. I think it does work. You know, I think that's a game that they're in. They need to play the cards that they've got, and that magic doesn't have the same draw that it used to. Mm-hmm. And by very way of the indirect lobbying that these people have done, they've went, nope, I'm afraid not. Because what you've got is they're not doing it down in England. This is a business model that works all over the world.
Yeah,
it's not putting people out. You know, and you go.
So it's only Scotland that's doing this licensing thing.
Generally, what happens is they want to try everything out in Scotland. So there's been many, many instances where they've instituted what they want to try and roll out, and they try it in Scotland first. Yeah. Poll tax was a famous example, and this is another instance where this will flop. This will not work, because you're getting people. There's so many parts of the legislation that this breaks that it's now, this is what I mean when they went to High Court. The judge has essentially decided, listen to me, Mr. Politician, Councillor, Scottish Government, you're overstepping your mark. You're breaking the law with what you're asking. It is not lawful what you're asking. And that's where they became a cropper. Now, they're not going to go, hey guys, have at it. It'll be a tempered retreat that they don't lose face, because it's politicians, right? It'll be a tempered retreat, but the game's up for them.
Well, that's good to hear. Okay, well, that's an action off the back of this session.
Grow up here.
I'll be grow up here. I'll be Airbnb-ing that property.
So I hope that answered your question with the legacy piece.
As usual, think bigger, grow up here is the basic advice.
Yeah. Get a goal. Make sure it's the wrong side of realistic. You should have an unrealistic goal. It should be big enough that it scares you. And if you got it, it would change your life.
My 240k a year was unrealistic to scare me on that property.
Weak numbers. I didn't think you could top your 18 kilo dumbbell press.
Oh, but I'm just here for the abuse.
That 240k was even worse than your 18 kilogram dumbbell.
Well, I do have I've got just on the physical stuff. That's a good shout. This could be something to end on. I'm back into my Concept 2 rowing, and I'm going to get back to my record time of 6:24, which is actually, for a 2000, that is actually respectable. But I'm shooting for that goal, which I'd have done in my 30s. I think there's no reason why I shouldn't do that in my 50s, though. So I'm going to do it. And our mutual pal, Ben, reckons he was quite the man rowing-wise. And his record is, I think, a wee bit slower than that. So we've got a competition going on the Concept 2. So, physically, despite my appearance today with the man flu, I'm setting myself a genuine challenge. And I think I'll have nailed it by Christmas.
I'll be the fucking judge of that.
Yeah, you'll be the judge of that. But I'm telling you that. Oh, look it up then. Look up 6:24 for a 2000.
I'll go and just row. I'll row for 2,000 metres and I'll decide if it's good numbers. I'm not built like a rower.
No, but I don't know about that. If you crack 6:24, your first row, mate.
They're not supposed to be like tall.
I'll send you a bottle of Macallan if you crack that, your first row. Yeah. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
You have to do it today while you're still a bit under the
6:24. Doesn't sound that hard. Says me, and then I'll go out and I'll just explode everywhere on a concept tour rower.
Mate, you don't want to be doing
That'll
that.
give us a good target to aim for.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to cover off?
No, we were going to tell funny stories, but
what funny stories you got? Finishing a funny story.
Oh fuck! Well, what's the best?
Fuck, you came out with some fucking funny stories.
I told you my best story.
240k targets. Pish.
Oh, I know. Here's one. Right, first night of my honeymoon. So somebody broke into our room.
Where were you?
In a hotel.
Where?
In Scotland, right. near Inverness. And this guy was attacking me. Right.
For real? Like, not a joke?
Yeah, this is not a joke. And so I was like waking up as this was happening. And I nearly had the choke sunk in, right? I was like trying to get a rear naked choke on him, right? He was a massive guy and he was yelling. And it's pretty discombobulating, somebody breaking into your room and attacking you. And then I realized what he was yelling. He was yelling, "Get out of my room! Get out of my room!" And I looked up and I saw through 2 doors my new wife sitting up in bed in our room, 2 rooms away. And what had happened is I'd apparently sleepwalked, gone out of our door, across the hall, into his room. I don't know if I was trying to cuddle him, have a piss over him. I have no idea. But this poor guy was trying to throw me out of his room and I was trying to choke him out. So in the morning, my missus is like, "We should just leave." And I said, no, we need to go to breakfast. I need to check this guy's okay. Like I'll apologize to him properly.
Yeah.
Well, he never showed up for breakfast, so I hope he didn't have a heart attack or something. He was a big dude.
The fucking hotel staff have found some guy choked out. Like, worried about like there's a sacrificed goat from fucking missing from a farm in Inverness.
So yeah, that's probably one of my favourites. It's a weird thing, sleepwalking though. I've only done it.
Well, you do it a lot.
A couple of times. No, I've done it a couple of times in my life. I mean, but I wasn't even drunk. We'd had like a bottle of wine between the two of us. It was not like I was drunk. Just one of those things. Just bizarre. So yeah,
that's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe I remember when I was young, I would sleep having a bad dream or something like that, but I never woke up fucking choking somebody out.
Well, the thing is, they had those stupid little snib locks on the doors. And I remember saying to the guy who showed us to a room, "How do these locks work?" And he said, "Oh, they're just like a bathroom lock. Those little..." So there was the same type of lock in the bathroom as on the actual doors. Yeah. And I suspect this guy hadn't been able to work out how to lock it. So I was able to just walk in. And I could only imagine that as I was sleepwalking, I just thought I was going to the bathroom. Yeah. So yeah, I was probably trying to pee on him or something. I have no idea.
That's the thing about Scotland. There's a good energy here. Like there's been a lot of like mishaps. Like people from abroad would think that we're particularly aggressive. Yeah. And I've been
if they were in a room where I showed up, yeah.
I had a gas engineer around yesterday, and he'd phoned the guy that we give all the work to.
Yeah.
And he says, "What did you do with the guy came in?" I was like, "No," I says, "Was a guy come down the hall? I didn't know like who it was."
Yeah.
He says he was fucking shiting himself. He's like, he just looked like he wanted to kick my head in. And I'm thinking was nothing but pleasant to the guy. But it must have been that initial, "Who's this strange guy that's walked into my house?"
Yeah.
And I think we maybe just I've certainly, I don't know if you're the same, but I've been all over the world, and people have been like, you get the sort of impression that you're fairly aggressive, and I think it's maybe just that sort of warrior spirit that's in us.
Nah, but you do look like a scary dude though, Gio. If somebody didn't know you, my experience of travel is two key things for me. Number one, the more I've traveled, the more I love Scotland, and that's not that I haven't enjoyed the places I've been and worked, but the other thing is that although I don't have a proper Scottish accent, having English parents, it's enough of a Scottish accent that in America I can get free coffees, all kinds of cool shit going on just by speaking the way I speak. Yeah. So people do seem to enjoy I guess I've got like a polite Scottish accent. But yeah, the more I travel, man, the more I love this country. So for all people complain about the government here and stuff, yeah, I get it. But governments are going to government wherever you are in the world. There's always shit like we're talking about with the Airbnb thing. But Scotland, man, it's got so much. Like, it's a beautiful place. It's got genuinely, mainly friendly people. I know some of us look a bit scary, Gio. No, it's a country of contrast, though. It's got at least one world-class city, Edinburgh. Sorry. You're a bit of a West Coast man.
Fucking edit that out.
No, but it's an amazing place. It's got islands. It's got mountains. It's a really cool country.
Yeah.
So,
I always thought you sounded English.
Well, thank you. I'm fine with that. I genuinely, I really don't mind.
I'm taking a piss out of Thor a wee bit. Friendly banter there.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with that. I mean, I've got English parents, and I was brought up in a wee hippie.
You sound Scottish. I mean, you sound Scottish enough.
Yeah, Scottish enough to get away with it.
Aye.
Other than that guy in Aberdeen I told you about on the last podcast who decided he was going to give me a whipping with his belt because I was an English C word.
I've not had any issues in Aberdeen. I've actually had somebody that was apparently, I mean, I don't know, but he was apparently like some really, really hard guy in Aberdeen. And
Okay.
like it was his friend that was telling me. It wasn't like, hey, I'm hard. It was his friend that was telling me. And I remember being like, right, okay.
Yeah.
And you know, it's what happens is like if you've been, like I've been into some of the roughest areas in Scotland. I've actually got on pretty well with, people. See if you speak to people.
Yeah.
You give them a bit of time, and they're all right with you. They're
course.
really, really good. And I remember thinking, I wonder if Aberdeen's really, not that, really not really that dangerous, because this guy seems pretty friendly. And he said the same thing. He's like, you come across as somebody that's really quite. I'd like if I was coming to see you, I'd be pretty concerned. Like I'd need to come team handy. And I'm like, I think I'm nothing but nice,
Yeah.
And I think that's just that energy that we're able to pick up on. But I don't know about choking anybody out. I mean, I might look scary, but I've never choked anybody out that's been 2 rooms down. I still don't think of.
Man.
So if
I mean, that could have been awful. Like, imagine that actually damaged. Well, maybe I did. I don't know. I mean, I hope I didn't. But yeah, you could accidentally kill someone like that. Like I that was pretty scary. Genuinely, I got back into bed and I was like, "What the hell just happened there?" Just the weirdest thing.
Well, if you're out there, if you've been choked out by some guy like in Inverness, minding your own business, and you've got a deep-rooted memory that you fucking buried in the box, right? We want to hear about it. We want to hear from you.
Come on the podcast. Tell a story from your point of view.
Yes, Thor's got an apology here for you.
Yeah. I'll give you a bottle of Macallan.
Did we cover off your legacy piece to your satisfaction?
Yeah, I think so. It's given me food for thought, and like I'm going to go away and I'm going to journal.
We're not finished yet.
The journal on the learning, though. No, I'm going to journal on the learning because that's a great point you make. I like your analogy about would you rather have the £1 million or whatever the number, or would you rather have your experience? And so that's a great point. So yeah, I've got an action off the back of it, a few actions. So yeah,
watch people's mind. Like see when you ask someone, you say, "Listen, you versus me, you get unbelievable amount of money. 10 years, who's going to come out on top?" They'll pause. Mm-hmm. An instinct is, "I'll take the money," and then they're thinking about it. Because they're smart enough that they've done enough work where they go, "Wait, now this, I should give this a bit of thought." And maybe not like they're starting their journey, but they've made the start that they've got the wherewithal to go, "Wait a minute, what would I do?" And you can see the cogs turning, and you're like, don't know. The instinct is, look, I'll take the 10 million, I'll go to the beach.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'd rather have the 10 million and my experience.
Yeah. You get more fulfillment if you started with nothing.
Well, that's fine.
You'd have more.
I need to be brutally honest and say that my scenario about my friend, I don't have zero. I've got some resources, so I was being a little disingenuous, but the principle holds.
You're fucking being disingenuous when you were saying it was your friend. We all seen through that right from the start.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, man.
So we'll cover off. We'll maybe pick up again when Thor's went through his journaling process. We'll use Gary Ferguson's combat journal because I think Thor needs it.
Hey, you giving me a combat journal? Good news.
Yeah, I've got one in the house. I'll give you. I had Gary Ferguson on.
Yeah. No, I heard that.
He was a cracking guest, and it's funny because obviously very accomplished Navy frogman. There's nothing outwardly hard about him at all. He's done some incredible things in terms of not just physically but mentally. The saturation diving, some of the endurance feats that he's done, and you wouldn't think it to look at him. So appearances can be deceiving in a big way. It just shows that inner steeliness you can garner, because that was his story. He was able to sort of used that inner sort of grit to sort of push on through the imposter syndrome, and done a great job at putting that journal together for people that maybe want to go back through the bomb site.
Where can you get the journal from? I know you say you're going to give me a copy. That's great, but we might as well give him a plug.
Combat Journal on Instagram.
Right.
He's got a great page.
Yeah,
a lot of good stuff. Funny bit about like I'd opened it and it initially was like, Gary, I'd instantly dismissed this.
Yeah,
came in from like a long training ride. You know when you're, I can be particular, like crab it, like a typical, like, don't fucking talk to me. That's what I feel like. You know, I just came in, picked it, opened up the package, looked at it, and I thought, nah, I'm not feeling this. So I got a shower, got something to eat. That was what was up with me. I hadn't ate.
Oh yeah, I've seen you hangry, man. That's not good.
Yeah, it wasn't the time to look at a journal. But opened up, I thought, this is actually, I recognise some of this. Yeah. I reckon, you know, when you recognise something that's good, and you go, so that's quite good. So they read through it. It was funny because I've got like a pucker pad, like Americans call them the legal pad. You know, when you just write stuff down, and he's got something in there like creative drawing. Mm-hmm. You just doodle, whatever comes out. Don't think, just do. I thought, fucking wonder what that's in there for. Seems a bit weird. So I've sat at my desk next to my pad, and there on my pad, there's the triangles and rows of squares and the rows of circles, and I've been doodling away. I'm like, very good, Gary. I'll give you that one. Well done, sir. Because I've noticed that I initially thought that seems a bit strange. And I look at the legal pad and there's me doing it.
Yeah.
That it was there before I'd looked at the journal.
Ah, cool. So, I'd love a shot of that journal. Have you genuinely got one I can get?
Yep.
Cool. I'll drop by yours after this then.
Yep, you can have it. It's good. It's a cracking setup.
I'll obviously give him a shout out on the old Insta or whatever.
Yeah, cool. Good guy. I'm going to get him back on.
Yeah.
Because he's a great story, but like most of them, it's hard to do them all in one go.
Yeah.
So, a few parts.
You are Scotland's Joe Rogan.
That's a good honour. I'd like to take that title, 100%.
Well, who else? Oh, I suppose James English might be. You know James English? Mm-hmm. You should get him on your pod.
Yeah, think he'd be good?
He'd be a fucking, you know who I mean?
Yeah.
He'd be a fucking great guest. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
See if you get him on.
He's done well. Really well.
He's done amazing. It's a great.
I thought I'm going to displace him. Like I'm going to go right through.
Hi. Well, I mean, there's room. Why not make Scotland a podcasting capital? The best watch podcast is up here. Apparently, it's the Scottish Watch Podcast. Yep. It's the biggest watch podcast.
What's that?
Scottish Watch Podcast.
Never heard of it.
As far as I know, it's the biggest watch. It is the watch podcast.
Right.
So yeah, why shouldn't it be in Scotland?
I mean, I think there's more than that. I'm jesting that I'll take his top spot, but I'm happy. Like there's more the merrier.
Yeah.
Because he's done well. He's done really good. Really, really well.
I like his free expression vibe. Like he just has anyone on there and he doesn't give a fuck.
And I enjoy that he's enjoy his story as well. He's bared it all. I like that. You know, he's like he's went through the bomb site.
Yeah.
You know, fair play to him. I don't know if you ever seen his ayahuasca one with. You seen his documentary where he went.
No, I haven't seen that. I need to watch it.
Thor, you need to watch it. But
is it on YouTube?
There's some guy in Glasgow. I've got the timeline's like 43 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's so funny and it's like Scottish funny.
Yeah.
And he's he's in this retreat in South America.
James English
is in the retreat, and there's some like sort of Asian dude that's from Glasgow.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he looks like he would be from somewhere else, and you can just instantly tell with his accent of what you could probably get within a 3-mile radius of where the guy's from. I can't remember his name, but he was just as good.
Yeah.
And he's been there a few times where this is James's first go at it.
Yeah.
And he comes out, so he's coming out to speak to the dude for Glasgow. And the guy's talking away and he's telling about like he's shit himself.
Yeah.
He says they had to take him away and like get him cleaned up. And then he says
wrong
it must have been
fence,
like
fella, wrong side of the fence.
He says it must have been like a spiritual purge. And he's like, what do you mean? Well, he says, they took me to the toilet. So I thought I'd shit myself and There was nothing there, so I must have spiritually felt it. And James just went, listen, man, he's like, my bearings are fucked. What's going on? It's like, where even are we? My bearings are all over the place. And it just, you know, when something just hits the spot for you, I thought, good on you. So his ayahuasca journey was on YouTube.
That's great. I'll watch that with the girlfriend later, because we were looking for some interesting ayahuasca viewing. James English
definitely check it out.
A ticket. Yeah.
Not plugging the guy that I'm about to displace, but I'm going to plug him, right?
No, you're calling him out. I'd love him on my podcast as well. We're calling James English out. Please come on my podcast.
Right, we'll send him a friendly clip to engage with us.
I actually think I did communicate with him a few years ago, and he did agree to come on my podcast, but then I never chased it up. So don't give me a hard time, Gio.
Cool.
Now would be a better time to get him on. So, yeah.
Right, good. I like it. Well, thanks for coming back on with the man flu.
Cool, man. It was great fun. Kept me perky.
How did you find it second time round?
Good. This is a really good studio. We should shout out the guys.
Bulletproof Studios.
Bulletproof Studios.
Yep. Bulletproof Studios. Dale doing a great job. Coach Crosser.
Yeah. It is a really comfy setup. Very professional. Yeah, really good, friendly.
Done a good job.
Good vibe.
Well, thanks for coming back on. Maybe smash your rowing numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Keep us posted.
Yeah, we'll do.
Let us know how you got on with the journaling. I think you're about a third of the way there, and your numbers are weak.
My rowing numbers are strong, fella. Wait until you get out there on the Concept 2 and try and knock out 624. You're going to be broken. I tell you, you will be broken, Gio.
You're looking at one of the greatest athletes that's ever existed here, Thor.
Yeah, in this studio, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, because out of the two of us.
Yeah, out of the two of us, you might well be, yeah.
Well, it's a friendly chat. I'll give it a go when I'm feeling...
Yeah, don't do it just now. Genuinely, you buckle yourself. Yeah, right. You've got the man flu and you try and pull 624, dude.
Right. I can't remember I remember rowing. There was like is it a 500 split? It was 140, 149 or 147. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I had to row 1,000 meters and it was 147, I think. 147 sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a physique on you, I reckon.
They're not tall, is it not? The rowing's tall, like if you're taller. Is it power?
It's power. It's a power thing, I think. I'm not an expert. Ask Ben. He thinks he's an expert. We're slagging Ben on this pod. That's great.
He's dreaming, man. He's absolutely dreaming if he thinks he's built like a rower.
Well, maybe he will be, as he...
I think he'd be a good abseiler.
A good abseiler.
He'd be a good abseiler, I think.
Due to his capacity to go down quickly.
Oh, his gravity on his side. And if he's got enough padding that if the rope failed, he could probably take a bounce or two.
Yeah.
I like Ben. He's doing well. I mean, fair play to him. He's actually much less fatter than when I met him.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's good to see. It's good to see people getting out and getting in front of it.
Yeah.
You know, even when when you've got a real mess that comes into the gym, like a real, really let it go. And you think to yourself, when I see him in the gym, I think, you know what? Tip the hat to you. Yeah. Fair play. You've got every excuse not to be in here. The heaviest weight in the gym is the front door.
Yeah.
And you've made it in. You know that this isn't an easy road for you.
Yeah.
You know that you've let it go a bit.
That's true. I like that. I'm a pure gym member. I love that because I can go in Livy when I'm down there, Aberdeen, wherever I am. They've got this thing on the wall which sounds a bit woke and airy-fairy, but it says everyone welcome. But actually, that's really cool because I can remember gyms back in the day in the 90s when actually everyone wasn't really welcome. And like there was such a vibe that a lot of people didn't feel comfortable to go to the gym. And that's shit because it should be a place for everyone. So no, I agree with you. It's great if somebody comes in there and they're a total state. I mean, fucking good on them. So yeah, I totally agree.
It's funny because like you see people that come in and they're new and or like particularly there's a big thing with like girls lifting weights now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they're watching, but there's some of the for instance the lat pull downs they get really like they're not in the ballpark of what they should be doing. They've clearly watched somebody and think I'm going to go in and do it, and you don't want to be hey, look, you're fucking not doing that right.
Well, who was that? You don't want to do it like that. Who was that comedian? Was that Harry Enfield?
I don't know.
Remember that back in the
I
day?
hated him, man.
Oh, well.
Guy with the white collar and the glasses.
Yeah, but there was the you don't want to do it like that. Anyway, so you go on, carry on with your girls on the lap
he was
pull
a
down.
tosser.
You shouldn't be looking, Gio. What are you looking at girls on the lap pull down?
No, you just make sure people are not going to hurt themselves.
But only the girls.
Uh,
You're just checking the girls are safe.
It's like there's guys that make a backside of it, but it's when there's so many of like a particular group that's doing the same thing, you go, who are you watching this?
Yeah.
Like there's too many he's coming in here trying to do the same thing and really being miles away from it. That's what's obvious. And like I remember training legs. You would train legs in the gym. You'd never be waiting on a leg machine. And the girls now, you need to be like, look, can I jump in with you? Because they're dedicated. I mean, they're hardcore. And the results, when you see like most girls have got that come in and train solid legs, solid. You stand next to guys and it's like it's night and day. You're like, man, you just need to up your game, boys.
Yeah.
And you're waiting on leg machines, but this thing with the lat pull downs, I'm like it must be a thing where they're trying to do a pull up, and I'm like, you're miles off.
What is it? What's your concern that what are they doing with these?
Their range of movement's wrong, which could cause injury. The way that they're trying to pull the bar down is not the natural movement. Yeah. The position in terms of their grip is off. So there are three fundamentals where you go, look, listen, let's get you in the ballpark. And I've said to a few, I was like, you want me? Like and the best way to do it is like, do you feel like you feeling a bit of pain in your elbow? Do you feel like you go and pull the last third of this down and you feel numb? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, right, you want a tip? Like see the hand position, you need to move it out. Try that. I'm like, oh yeah. Like, you know that you're trying to pull this through your fucking knees. Like, that's not the movement. It's like, try pulling it to your chest. And they're like, I'm like, there you go. And it's that sort of interaction where, like, when you're in the gym, you're like, look, here's a wee tip, here's a wee trick, or are you spotting that this is a problem for you? And they're like, yeah. Things like footwear as well, like, see when they're pushing, it's like, go and get a nice flat pair of shoes, like you got a pair of Converse or Vans or something that's got a hard sole. Like these running trainers that you're trying to squat in is not going to do you any favours. Yeah. Because it's too spongy. Go and get something that you feel comfortable, you push, and you're getting that resistance. And they're like, yeah. Well,
I treat the gym as a place where I don't do sociability. It's not that I'm obnoxious. If someone speaks, obviously I'll speak to them. But I really enjoy just having my headphones, just going into a zone. So I suppose I might be people watching a bit when I'm in between a set or whatever. But yeah, I'm specifically not interacting, and I like just kind of zoning out now. Yeah. Because I'm a sociable person. I love communicating with people, but in the gym, I'm really just letting everyone else do their thing. So,
I mean, it's like, I think it's cool, but it's like if you get something that's really, really, like if somebody's going to cause themselves an injury or they're really off, I think it's maybe worth just having a wee quiet word with them, saying, look, you want a wee sort of nudge in the right direction.
Yeah, you're asking them. You're not just dishing out advice. You're asking them if you can give them a tip. I think that's legit. And
same with like, you especially like you can tell guys that are new, just give them a few wee pointers, and it's great because you see that it's like the goals. Like, it's great for as much as it's good discussing these goals. It's great to see somebody smashing it, and it's great to see somebody like you see somebody in the gym. Their hand position was wrong. They were pulling it down the wrong way, and then 4 or 5 weeks later doing chin-ups, like, yeah, that's good, good. And then it's like, you talk about your property thing. Nothing would give me more fulfillment than you knocking it out of the park. And that starts with having a conversation where you go, fucking think I maybe didn't get it right. And it's the same thing like with the gym and with the property. It's the same idea. Yeah. So well done coming in. Man flued up.
Thanks, dude.
And taking the time out of your day to come along. It's been good.
Cool.
So if you enjoyed this, follow us on our social medias. Thor's on Instagram, all in the show notes.
At Thor's Hippie Hut.
At Thor's Hippie Hut. And at North Housecroft.
Yeah, at North Housecroft.
Give him a follow. We're on all the main social media channels. Conversations with an Investor. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Give us a follow. like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us more about your goals. If you want me to shout at you and tell them that they're weak, maybe put them in the comments. Hope you liked the Airbnb piece. You've been asking a lot about it, so it's great that it came up in conversation. Setting your goals is important, so get them done. Make sure they're audacious. Make sure that they're big. Build the knowledge.
Like Gio's goal to outdo James English with his podcast.
It's really Joe Rogan. I mean, I want Joe Rogan. James English is going to be an unfortunate casualty on the way. He's a milestone, and I mean that in jest. I think he's doing great. I think the guy's done a pretty blistering job, and I'd happily take tips and advice from him because he's done well, and that's the humility piece. So these are the sort of things where you've got to balance that sort of high confidence
with some humility.
Some humility. Not too much, right? Not too much, because bravado's strong, right?
Yeah.
Gives us the appeal. So yeah, shout out to James there. Well done. Fair play. I'm coming for you. We're on the internet as well. So if you want to visit my page, cwipodcast.com. Love to hear from you. But from us this week, that's a wrap.